My name is Margaret Jacobs. I am Akwesasne Mohawk. With the exhibition Kinship, I have fabricated steel sculpture and powder-coated jewelry on view. I'm trying to talk about historical narrative as well as cultural narrative. With the old growth pieces, I'm using the spud wrenches, and those have a direct visual reference to the Mohawk ironworkers who built the skyscrapers, and then combining that with plants in the botanicals and just looking at ancestral knowledge as well as familial knowledge, so other plants that are related to medicine, to healing, to nutrition. Really interested in exploring kinship relationships with the natural world. I've been drawn to broadleaf plantain a lot. And it's just this weed that is all over the Northeast. And it's called white man's footprints because when settlers came over, all of a sudden this little weed popped up everywhere, and then it's been integrated into cultural use, into medicinal use. Other plants that I'm looking at are berries, strawberry, blueberry. Strawberries are the first berries of spring. Also, that's just the berry that I always remember from my grandmother's house. Would always come up, it would always be growing wild on the lawn. So I'm exploring a lot of berry imagery as well. I also have tobacco, cattails. I have a really strong childhood memory of those because my grandmother's house was on a swamp. So you'd always see the cattails, and every season they would be there. So those were always really present as well. Those are some of the more larger imagery that I'm using. And then also just looking at things like mushroom, garlic, thinking about food sovereignty, value systems of, what do we value? Do we value a diamond? Do we value a piece of garlic? And just trying to explore that narrative visually. Having the material transform into what I want it to transform into, having a really deep understanding of the technical aspects of that material, having a really intimate relationship with that material is always really important to me. Just using the material in a way that you don't normally see it used. I think people are really familiar with welding, they're really familiar with blacksmithing. You can't really tell what's fabricated or what's found, it's integrated. And it really flows. It could be something that, you look at it and at first you think it's all cast, but it's not. So understanding how to put the materials together in that way and really have the viewer have to look at it really closely to develop a relationship with the piece is important to me. And I feel like the longer I work on the series, the more of an understanding I have of the plant that I'm trying to make. So with the sculpture, generally doing a lot of visual research, looking at the plant that I want to make, thinking about it, drawing. But then when I kind of get to the actual fabrication part of it, I'm not really referencing the photos, I'm more just kind of thinking about what I'm trying to make to try and get the energy of it. And so with the sculpture, I'm doing a lot of patterning. So using a plasma cutter to cut out the patterns in the work. And then after I kind of get that initial movement using the forge, by heating and hammering, I'll do combinations of welding, and then I'll go back and forth a lot. And so I'm using a combination of fabrication as well as smithing techniques. That's how I really want people to relate to my work, where they can have a sculpture in their house that can be a part of their daily life. It can be a part of their, their lifestyle, so that there is that kind of intimacy with the object that you would have within fine craft.